The Conclave's judgment had been swift and absolute.
Humanity, the youngest species to achieve faster-than-light travel, stood accused of crimes that echoed through the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council. Ambassador Chen Wei trembled as the holographic representatives of 300 alien civilizations materialized around her, their forms ranging from crystalline entities to beings of pure energy. The species known as humanity, proclaimed the Archon of the Conclave, a towering figure whose voice resonated like thunder, has violated the sanctity protocols. They have weaponized quantum singularities, harvested forbidden energies, and demonstrated an alarming propensity for conflict.
The verdict is unanimous exile.
Chen Wei wanted to protest, to explain that humanity had acted only in self-defense against the Krell raiders who had attacked the outer colonies. But the words died in her throat as she watched Earth's coordinates being erased from the Galactic Navigation Network. Humanity was being written out of existence, cut off from trade routes, diplomatic channels, and the protection of conclave law.
The exile began immediately. Human vessels attempting to dock at conclave stations were turned away. Trade agreements were dissolved overnight. Even the humanitarian aid Earth had been receiving to combat the phage plague was revoked. Within months, humanity found itself alone in a hostile universe, with only their own ingenuity and determination to sustain them.
Captain Sarah Okonkwo stood on the bridge of the Defiant Hope, humanity's first true colony ship, watching the last conclave beacon fade from her sensors. Behind her, 15,000 colonists slept in cryostasis, their dreams filled with promises of new worlds.
But those worlds, the green planets catalogued in conclave databases, were now forbidden territory.
Navigation, what do we have? She asked, her voice steady despite the weight of responsibility crushing down on her shoulders.
Rogue planets, Captain, her navigator replied grimly.
Worlds beyond conclave space. No atmosphere, no ecosystem, nothing but rock and ice, Sarah smiled, though it didn't reach her eyes.
Then we'll make them bloom. The first settlement was built on Gehenna, a frozen wasteland orbiting a dying red dwarf.
The colonists emerged from their pods to find a world of perpetual twilight, where temperatures plunged to -200 degrees. But humanity had always thrived where others wouldn't dare to venture. Dr. Marcus Webb led the terraforming effort, deploying experimental fusion cores deep beneath Gehenna's surface. The machines, born from desperation and genius, began to warm the planet from within. Atmospheric processors, designed without the luxury of conclave technology, synthesized breathable air from the chemical compounds locked in the ice. It took 30 years, but Gehenna transformed from a frozen tomb into humanity's first independent colony. Word of humanity's success spread through underground channels, reaching other exile species, the Torati, banished for their genetic experiments, the Selenar, exiled for refusing to surrender their ancestral technologies, the Vrynn, cast out for philosophical differences with the Conclave. These outcasts found common cause with humanity, and an unlikely alliance formed in the darkness between stars. Commander Elias Thorne, now an admiral, stood before the assembled representatives of the Free Worlds Coalition. His fleet, built from salvaged materials and revolutionary human designs, represented a new philosophy of warfare, one that didn't rely on the energy weapons and shields favored by the Conclave, but on kinetic accelerators and adaptive armor that could be manufactured anywhere. The Conclave believes they've silenced us, Elias declared, his words transmitted across dozens of hidden colonies. They think exile means extinction. But they've given us something far more valuable than their approval, they've given us freedom. The human economy, no longer constrained by conclave regulations, exploded with innovation. Without access to established trade routes, humanity developed quantum entanglement commerce, transmitting information instantaneously across vast distances. When conclave biologics were denied to them, human scientists cracked the genome code and created superior alternatives. Necessity didn't just breed invention, it demanded revolution. 50 years after the exile, the Conclave faced an unexpected crisis. The Devourers, a hive-mind species from beyond the galactic rim, began their invasion. Worlds fell like dominoes as the Conclave's carefully regulated military forces proved inadequate against an enemy that didn't follow established rules of engagement. The distress call reached New Terra, humanity's capital world, where Premier Amara Singh convened her war council. The message from the Conclave was simple: help us, and your exile will be reconsidered. We owe them nothing, growled General Kovacs, slamming his fist on the table.
Let them face extinction alone, as they left us to face ours. But Premier Singh saw something else, an opportunity.
We help them, she announced, but on our terms. The human fleets arrived at the Battle of Sigma Draconis like ghosts, their ships invisible to conventional sensors thanks to technology developed in exile. The Devourers, accustomed to the predictable tactics of Conclave forces, found themselves facing an enemy that fought with creativity and ruthlessness born from survival. Admiral Chen, grandson of the ambassador who had witnessed humanity's exile, commanded the human armada with precision. His ships didn't engage in the formal battle lines preferred by the Conclave. Instead, they struck from unexpected angles, used guerrilla tactics, and deployed weapons the Devourers had never encountered.
The tide of battle shifted. When the Devourers finally retreated, the Conclave's representatives approached Admiral Chen with contrition. "We were wrong about humanity," the new Archon admitted.
"You've proven yourselves worthy of." "Save it," Chen interrupted, his voice cold.
"We didn't come here for your approval. We came because it was the right thing to do.
But understand this, humanity will never again bow to the Conclave's authority.
We've built something better in exile. An empire not of domination, but of cooperation.
Of species who choose their own destinies.
The Free Worlds Coalition, with humanity at its heart, became a new power in the galaxy. Not sanctioned by the Conclave, but respected nonetheless.
They had been banished to the darkness between stars, and in that darkness, they had kindled a light that would never be extinguished. Ambassador Zara Chen, great-granddaughter of the original ambassador, now stood in the same chamber where her ancestor had been condemned.
But she wasn't pleading for acceptance. She was delivering an ultimatum.
"The galaxy is changing," she declared to the assembled conclave. "You can either change with it, or be left behind in the old ways. Humanity extends an invitation not as supplicants, but as equals, to forge a new future together."
The Conclave's answer would shape the destiny of the galaxy.
But regardless of their choice, humanity had already proven the truth: exile had not destroyed them. It had forged them into something stronger, something unstoppable. An empire among the stars, built not by conquest, but by the unbreakable human spirit.